Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 3rd meeting of the Ann Arbor City Council. If you're able, please rise and join us for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would our clerk please call the roll of council?
Councilmember Dish.
Here.
Councilmember Harrison.
Here.
Councilmember Watson.
Here.
Councilmember Malik.
Here.
Councilmember Medina.
Here.
Councilmember Ghazi Edwin.
Here.
Mayor Taylor.
Here.
Councilmember Iyer.
Here.
Councilmember Ackman.
Here.
Councilmember Briggs.
Here.
Councilmember Cornell. Absent. We have a quorum.
May I have a motion, please, to approve the agenda? Moved by Councilmember Iyer, seconded by Councilmember Briggs. Discussion of the agenda. All in favor? Opposed? The agenda is approved. We have communications today from our city administrator.
No, Mayor.
We have two introductions today. The first from our Independent Community Police Oversight Commission, an update from the chair, Chair Carter. Chair Carter, I believe you're on Zoom.
Ms. Carter, if you're on Zoom, can you please raise your hand? Mayor, I do not see Ms. Carter on Zoom.
Perhaps with council's acquiescence, we'll flip introductions 1 and 2 and see whether she has an opportunity to join us. In that light, let's roll, please, with introduction number 2. That is a proclamation with respect to Ground Cover Vendor Appreciation Week. Folks, come on up. Come on up, everyone. So we talk to the camera first. We do occasionally, before council meetings, take a pause to honor important groups within our community. As everyone knows, the downtown is for everyone. And if you've ever been downtown, you know that there are folks who are there working hard every day, working to sell the Ground Cover News, which is a street newspaper which enables folks to learn skills about writing and selling and business work, but also enables folks outside of that sphere to learn a little bit about what's going on in our downtown throughout the entirety of our population, our community. And so in that light, it's my great pleasure to proclaim this week Ground Cover Appreciation Week. So let me roll through a little bit on this presentation, and we'll take it from there. Whereas Ground Cover News is a street newspaper that provides quality news and features to the Ann Arbor community since April 2010. Whereas the Ground Cover News is a 501c3, it empowers and supports low-income community members to make the transition from homeless to housed, from jobless to employed. Whereas Ground Cover News and vendors provide an invitation to build meaningful relationships in the community and increase their skills and ability to navigate challenges. Whereas Ground Cover News and vendors add to the quality of life of Ann Arbor and the downtown and the greater Washtenaw community. Now therefore I, Christopher Taylor, Mayor of Ann Arbor, Michigan, do hereby proclaim the week of February 2, 2025 as Ground Cover Vendor Appreciation Week and call upon Ground Cover News staff, volunteers, and the Ann Arbor community to join us in this celebration and occasionally buy a paper.
Magazine,
even better.
Somebody who's been in Ann Arbor their whole life.
Is there anyone who'd like to say a little say?
Okay.
All right, it's all you.
first of all, I want to say thank you, the city of Ann Arbor, for allowing us to partake in this. Ground cover. Okay, I'm bad at big speeches. I get nervous in front of people. Ground cover is really bigger than what people think. Yes, we do help people get jobs and help people earn money to get housing, but also ground cover has helped many of us, myself included, achieve goals, personal goals, all kind of goals. So I just want to say thank y'all for allowing us to be out here and for first and foremost embracing us in the community. I want to thank y'all.
All right, thanks, Joe. Here. Thank you very much. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So one way that we celebrate Vendor Week is to do an activity called Celebrity Sales. And we love to invite our city council and elected officials to partake in selling ground cover. A great way to appreciate it is to understand how hard the job of selling ground cover is and what it is like to put yourself out there and engage with our community members. So if you're interested in doing that on Thursday from 11 to 3, that opportunity, you can come to our office or reach out to me via email and we can arrange for you to try selling ground cover.
Very good, thank you.
I would just like to note, I thought Joe was going to say it, that Ground Cover is a member of the International Street Papers Association. So it's legit, guys.
All right, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, I'm from Ann Arbor, and I just appreciate all the help. I've learned a lot. I'm still learning. I tend to be a reporter about what's going on in politics, U of M football games. I'm from here. I've been here 68 years. I should be in the historian library. But it is a challenging job, but it's worth it, and I do enjoy it. I have my times I take a break because I'm a little older than some of these folks here, but it's worth having it in Ann Arbor, and I've always loved this community because I'm from here. So thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thanks very much. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, sure.
All right, I just want to say real fast that we are having an event at Live on Friday. It's a ground cover fundraiser with the regular happy hour that's going on there. We really appreciate this proclamation. We're very excited that you are supporting work with dignity, low barrier work with dignity in your county. So thanks very much.
Thanks a ton.
Thank you.
We now have an update from the chair of our Independent Community Police Oversight Commission, Chair Carter. Chair Carter, you have the con.
Thank you. Good evening. First, I apologize. I was having some serious connectivity issues this
all good.
evening, but I'm glad I got through. So good evening, Mr. Mayor, Administrator Dahomey, City Council, members. We didn't have a meeting in December, but I'm pleased to announce that in our January meeting a week or so ago, we finally have a full complement of commissioners. We had all 11 commissioners. We welcomed 2 new commissioners to the commission on last week. In January, we're very busy finishing up our 2024 annual report. We hope to have that out to you in the next couple of weeks. We have been having meetings with Chief Anderson and some of his staff, his command staff, and we have established, I think, a good working relationship. We're still looking at some of the policies that we want to comment on, and Chief Anderson has been very receptive. We continue our work for making recommendations for current policies. Our outreach committee is busy planning for what we hope will be we're calling it at this point a social justice symposium, which should be held in May, and it's been named in honor of Jude Walton, one of our former commissioners, and so we will again invite you out to that when we have it all planned out, but for now it is planned in May. So we continue our work, and I have nothing further to report. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We now come to public comment reserve time. Public comment reserve time is an opportunity for members of the public to speak to council and the community about matters of municipal interest. To speak at public comment reserve time, one needs to have signed up in advance by contacting our city clerk. Speakers in all instances will have 3 minutes in which to speak, so please pay close attention to the time. Our clerk or the time clock will notify you when 30 seconds are remaining and when your time is expired. When your time is expired, please conclude your remarks and cede the floor. Our first speaker today is Diana Kimball.
Hello, Mayor and council members. My name is Diana Kimball. I'm here on behalf of the Ann Arbor Women's Group, A2WG. In your application, or the application that I submitted, you'll see we have our purpose as well as a website, a2womensgroup.org, and you can get more information there. But I wanted to say that we are a volunteer nonprofit 501(c) organization designed to help women in our community achieve and maintain sobriety from drugs and alcohol. We're a volunteer board. We are basically always attempting to teach, to educate women on how to stay sober. We also have all sorts of events. One of those events is coming up February 16th at Weber's. It's a recovery brunch, and it's actually on our website as well. And what I'm seeking is a charitable gaming license. We like to do a 50-50 raffle, and it's basically something that we are there to bring women together. Last year we did it. We had 169 women there. We always have a guest speaker who's sober. I myself have 34 years of sobriety, and I'm co-president, one of the co-presidents. My friend Janice is also a co-president. We have learned over time that the opposite of addiction is connection. And as addicts, we have a tendency to isolate. And so what we're attempting to do is to bring women out to events so that we can get to know one another. I think that's all I have. Thank you for your support and for considering this. Do you have any questions at all? Nope? Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Adam Goodman.
Mayor Adam Goodman is joining us on Zoom. Go ahead.
Hi there, this is Adam Goodman. I'm speaking to you from the 5th Ward. I want to talk tonight about C1, the rezoning proposal for a couple properties on Dexter Avenue to create a new park. I don't oppose the specific proposal, but I believe it raises some concerns that we do need to address more holistically. So, to set the stage, last summer, a few friends and I decided to basically do the Visit Every Park Challenge by bike, and in a single day. It took us 95 miles in almost 12 hours to bike past or through all 162 City of Ann Arbor Park properties. I took away a couple things from this experience. First, our park system is awesome. I love it. It's one of the things that makes our city special, and there are some real hidden gems that you might never find or experience if you weren't doing a crazy challenge like this. But second, I think we actually have too many parks. A lot of our park properties aren't special. They're just patches of turf or buckthorn thickets that provide no real value to our city or nearby residents. And they're on lands that frankly could have been used for probably a better purpose. But it actually gets even worse than that. Even in some of the parks that are important and valuable, the facilities are decrepit. You probably already know, as our elected leaders, that our park system is underfunded. At least you probably know this in theory. But visiting every park is a great way to viscerally experience this. We had to reroute because there's a bridge over a creek in Sylvan Park that's, turns out it's been closed for years because it's unsafe. The Gallup Park access road is in truly awful shape. We've got bathroom buildings in a bunch of places that have been closed literally for decades. I mean, I don't know how long. And then there's the real big ticket items like the West Park Band Shell, the Farmers Market Administration Building. We're not in a great situation with our park system. And of course, I realize that some projects to solve some of these are underway, but if it were properly funded, then these issues would have been solved before they became critical safety issues and resulted in facilities having to close. So this Dexter Park seems to have a compelling rationale behind it, and the process is pretty far along, so I'm not asking for you to oppose it. But I believe it should be the last park that City Council approves until we figure out how to get our maintenance situation stabilized. That is to say, City Council should place a moratorium on new parkland acquisition until we can properly take care of what we already have.
30 seconds.
And also, I have to say, it's kind of a ridiculous situation we're in where we have lots of money to buy new parkland, but not to maintain it once we have it. This is, of course, because of the Greenbelt Village, which sets aside 1/3 of its funds for park acquisition within the city. But given the situation we're in, I'm not completely sure this is possible under state law, but if we can, you should put forward a ballot question to the voters asking to reallocate those funds to capital improvement and maintenance instead of park acquisition. That way we could take some steps towards solving this without any new taxes for residents of the city.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Eric Ivanich.
Eric Ivanich, Mayor, he will be joining us on Zoom. Go ahead.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about sidewalks tonight. My name is Eric Ivancic, and I'm speaking to you from the 3rd Ward. In 2021, we plan to fill sidewalk gaps along Sunset Road, in part because it's an important route for students walking and biking to Forsyth Middle School and Wyans Elementary. However, many residents along Sunset did not want the sidewalks, and they convinced the city to combine the sidewalk project with a larger transportation project. Due to the high costs, this larger project has been postponed until sometime after 2031, according to our capital improvement plan. As a result, the sidewalk project was effectively canceled. This decision has failed our residents and our school children and has set a precedent for stopping other sidewalk projects in our city. Currently, the sidewalk gaps on Brockman and Crestland are scheduled to be filled in 2026. However, the residents along Brockman are trying to link the sidewalk project to a recently requested traffic calming project. Assuming their concerns about speeding drivers are valid, it's even more important to fill these sidewalk gaps as soon as possible, given that Brockman is a walking and biking route to Tappan Middle School, and kids are currently forced to walk in the road. Any delay is unacceptable. The city handles traffic calming requests in chronological order, so the Brockman traffic calming project is still a few years away. Multiple neighborhood meetings and a traffic study are all part of the preliminary process, and it's possible the street won't even meet criteria. Additionally, Brockman residents assume they can dictate a narrowing of the entire street, but there are less expensive traffic calming options like brief bump outs, speed tables, and speed bumps. Narrowing the street and placing the sidewalks along the curb rather than behind a lawn extension makes the sidewalks less safe. If someone walking or using a wheelchair accidentally hits the edge of the curb, they could fall into the street and into traffic. Imagine a family taking a walk with a toddler, constantly worried about their child tumbling into the street. The lawn extensions are a safety feature of these sidewalks. If we carefully listen to the Brockman residents, it's clear they want the city to abandon the public's right-of-way where the sidewalks should be built, so they can keep it as part of their front yards. What they are asking for is a delay of years, more cost to the city, a land gift from the public, and ultimately less safety for people. Let us learn from the mistake with Sunset Road and fill the Brockman and Crestland sidewalk gaps without any delay.
30 seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there communications today from council? Councilmember Briggs.
Thank you. So I've had a number of conversations with folks over the last couple of weeks and received a lot of emails, and I just wanted to speak a little bit to some of what I'm hearing. So I just want to start by acknowledging the stress that many of us, city staff, our community partners, and residents are experiencing. Since Trump was inaugurated 2 short weeks ago, our country has been hurled into chaos through a series of cruel and calculated executive orders and administrative actions by appointed officials and unappointed individuals. The impact locally is sizable and unprecedented. On the economic side, we have seen billions of dollars in federal funding frozen to Michigan, and although some of that funding has been unfrozen, much is still in limbo as it is tied to conditions and new policies around DEI and immigration policy and others. The University of Michigan alone received $1 billion in federal funding last year. The livelihoods of so many of our residents are tied to federal funding. Nonprofit agencies serving refugees have already lost precious dollars. And many of our residents who are federal employees, such as the hundreds who work at the EPA, are fearful for the future of their jobs. And then there's the emotional toll of watching an alt-right fascist government take control of our democracy. I just wanted to acknowledge that the road ahead will be tough, and there are limited tools that we have as local government, but I know that we'll be using all the leverage that we have to protect each and every member of our community. And I know that each one of us around the table has been really attentive to this issue, and our staff is, and we'll be working our best to communicate good and accurate and timely information with everybody. So, thank you.
Councilmember Dish.
Thank you. I wanted to announce to anyone who is within range, who's a Ward 1 resident, that Councilmember Harrison and I will have a coffee hour on Monday, February 24th from 6:30 to 8 at Bamboo, which is a co-working space on the corner of First and Washington. And the address is 200 South First Street. And if we can arrange it, we may have a staff member there to talk about any one of the incredible initiatives that we're working on. And I'm not going to say which one because I haven't asked any staff yet. Thank you.
Councilmember Ryer.
Thank you. Just a quick policy agenda committee update. Today, members of the Policy Agenda Committee, along with the mayor and city staff, met with our legislative delegation to get their feedback and input on our policy agenda. This, of course, is the document that will come to council outlining the priorities that we have as a city council that we'll be working on trying to advocate in Lansing different changes to state policy that will help us advance our goals here at home. And with the Michigan legislature now, the political landscape shifting, the Michigan House, of course, is under Republican control, while the Democrats retain the Senate and the governor's office. Of course, that changes our strategy a little bit, and so we had a really good discussion with our legislative leaders, our legislative delegation, and focused around our high-level initiatives, things like advancing affordable housing in our community, our climate action goals, environment, protecting human rights and workers' rights, retaining local control on issues that matter to us, and securing funding for roads and mass transit. So, despite these political shifts, we are all committed to continuing to advance progressive policies for our city. And we will be finalizing that policy agenda document within the next few weeks, and it'll be coming to council for full approval sometime, hopefully in February. Thank you.
Councilmember Harrison.
Thank you, Mayor. Happy Black History Month. I just wanted to remind everyone that the viewing of A Letter to the West Side, the show sold out, or the tickets are free, but it filled up for February 8th, which is this Saturday. But there will be a second showing, which will be on February 26th at 6:00 p.m. You have to have a reservation in order to come to and view the filming. So you can go to the Ann Arbor Housing Commission on Facebook, their page on Facebook, or you can look for the event on Eventbrite. So just wanted to remind everyone about that second viewing. Thanks.
Councilmember Ackman.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to be sure that people knew about the recently announced expansion of our home energy rebate program for A20. So there's going to be more services and more funding to residents. Changes include increases to the rebate dollar amounts for projects like weatherization. So this would be things like insulation and air sealing and cold climate heat pumps. And the rebate measures have also been expanded to residents that are living in multifamily buildings. As we heard, I think, a couple meetings ago, the initial rollout was with units not more than 4. Now it's all of them. So good news on all fronts.
Councilmember Watson.
Just to add a piece on the Letter of the West Side documentary, it features many members of the Community Leadership Council, which is a group of Black Ann Arborites who helped plan our Dunbar Tower Catherine Street development. So it's just another way. I mean, with Black History Month, I think we need to recognize the way that the Black community has helped shape Ann Arbor and continues to, especially in this organized way through our Leadership Council. Councilmember Malik and I would like to invite you to a Ward 2 listening session on Sunday, February 23rd from 3 to 4 p.m. at Traverwood Library. This month features Chief Andre Anderson, and we hope you will come out and get to know your police chief.
Further communication from council. I'd like to request confirmation of the following appointments that were presented to City Council on January 21, 2025 to the Downtown Development Area Resident Consultancy Council, John Splitt and Joseph Icure. May I have a motion, please? Moved by Councilmember Medina, seconded by Councilmember Watson. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It is approved. We now have before us the consent agenda. May I have a motion, please, to approve the consent agenda? Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Watson. Discussion of the consent agenda. I believe we have two introductions. First, perhaps, CA6. Chief.
Afternoon, Mayor and Council. Had a question today about the price of the ladder truck that's before you this evening. I'm going to use a technical term, and that's bonkers. The price of fire trucks has become bonkers, and there's simply no historical precedent for it. The last time that we had a engine, which is what's in front of you tonight is a ladder truck, and I can kind of explain why we are going with this particular ladder truck. But the last time we were before you was May of 2023. That was a engine company, smaller rig, hose pump, water, and that was $830,000. In 2022, literally a year before that, we had an identical spec'd engine using the exact same specifications that was $662,000. So that had a year-to-year increase of 25%. The industry has shrunk, so it's about half the domestic manufacturers than there were about 20 years ago. They've never caught up from COVID, and a lot of communities used federal money over the last couple of years to purchase fire apparatus. And so you had this COVID backlog that never got caught up with. You had a huge demand that the manufacturers just were not ready for, and that has really placed them in a almost a monopoly market where very few manufacturers, significant orders from municipalities, and pretty much year to year since 2020, double digit, if not 25, 30% year to year increases. The last time we have purchased a ladder truck was in 2013, so that's what this rig is going to replace. That rig was just over $1 million. That was $1,430,000. So fast forward 10 years later, this is about well over double the cost. So dramatic increase. The price that we're paying is proportionate with what other communities for other rigs of this type are paying. So this is market rate that we're paying for this apparatus. One thing that is unique about this, where it is a little more costly, and by a little more, it's about $100,000 more, not an insignificant amount. This would be what's in the industry is called a tractor-drawn aerial, or a tiller, and this actually has a driver in the rear. We've been working tremendously with the DDA over the last several years with the desire for bike lanes, pedestrian bump outs. Our current ladder truck is routinely having to drive over curbs, driving over the bike lane reflectors. It's not good for any of that infrastructure, and it's especially not good for that rig. We just simply don't have a choice but to navigate, given the turn radius, to really have to drive over those things. Again, not good for those things, not good for our rig. The tiller truck has a rear driver, and so it allows for this dramatic over 30% reduction in turn radius. And especially with what's the density of the downtown, the desire for pedestrian safety, the desire for bike lanes. This is what other communities with very tight areas, Seattle, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., New York, have these sorts of rigs. And what we're seeing with downtown density is what they're seeing in these much more dense urban communities. So that's our recommendation for this vehicle. The other part too, which is also a huge source of frustration, this rig has a 4-year lead time. So that's the other part, is we also want to lock in the price now. So that's our 2013 ladder truck will be well beyond its depreciated life value by the time we actually get receipt of this. And again, this 3 to 4 year lead time has also become an industry norm. Pre-COVID, this was a 10-month build. So it's just gotten completely wild. So hopefully happy to answer any other questions on that.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, I guess we can. We do have another introduction, but the consent agenda is open, so yeah, sure.
Thanks. Can you just speak, I think what I saw on the agenda item was that this is expected to have a lifetime of 18 years?
Correct.
But the other ones seem to have like a lower lifespan, or are they?
So our current one was, fortunately, no one was severely hurt. It was actually hit by a semi on 94 7 years ago. And we really would have hoped it would have been totaled out, and it's had nothing but gremlins in it ever since. So given it was $1 million piece of equipment, it was actually blocking an accident scene. It got hit by a semi. Again, there by the grace of God, no one was hurt or killed that night. But that has a reason why that rig has, us and Fleet have both tried, it's been kind of nonstop maintenance after that crash, so.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sorry, I was remiss at the beginning. I should have made remarks and didn't, but seeing the chief, it reminded me he is wearing a mourning badge, which means we have a fallen firefighter, Captain Brent Costanco, who passed. He was retiring as I was coming, so I don't know him. But perhaps, Chief, you could speak to his service for just a second.
Sure. Thank you for that opportunity. Captain Brett Costanco was retired as a captain in December of 22. He was diagnosed with cancer about a year before he left, and his cancer was recognized under the state of Michigan First Responders Act, which there are certain cancers that are, firefighters have a order of magnitude different cancer rate beyond the general public. His cancer was one of them that followed through. Unfortunately, just very 2 short years after his retirement and years of service from the city. I believe he served for 22 years. Tremendous guy, dearly beloved, very tragic, and the service for him is this weekend. So thank you, Mr. Dohoney.
Thank you, Chief. We now have our second introduction with respect to CI7.
Thank you very much, Mayor and members of council. Questions were posed on CA7. First, does the other funding referenced in OSI's proposal include federal grants or allocations, e.g. EPA, DOE, or other federal climate programs? And if so, which ones? The response to that is the tag in the memo, other recent funding efforts. That includes state awards as well as federal U.S. Department of Energy awards, such as the geothermal grant. Question 2, what contingency plans are in place to address risks from things like federal executive orders limiting climate related funding and pending litigation that could delay or block federal funds? Very, very timely question. Response. OSI is in deep collaboration with legal and the city administrator's office. We've been working to get as many signed grant agreements as we can. We've been bringing them to you. We've been encumbering funds, moving contracts forward, doing everything we can to preserve as much federal funding as possible. The city is also closely following the changes taking place in federal policies and the challenges those changes are placing before us in this rapidly changing environment. At this point, it's impossible to predict exactly how the recently passed federal executive orders will impact the city and our sustainability initiatives in particular. But what I can say is that staff are working very hard to preserve as much funding as we can. We are lucky that we've been quite successful in the last 18 months to bring down just over $32 million in federal awards. And what I can tell you is true is that OSI has the funding to cover CA7 if the grant funds are revoked. And as such, we feel confident moving this proposal forward regardless of the uncertainty in the federal landscape. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Councilmember Harrison. Oh, yeah, sure. You could comment on it without pulling it, but if you wish to pull it. All right. Councilmember Harrison.
Yeah, I have some remarks about it. Black history is Ann Arbor history. The James L. Crawford Elks Lodge stands as a testament to that fact. Proof that when Black Ann Arborites were policed out of spaces, we built our own. When exclusion was the norm, we created institutions that not only sustained us, but uplifted an entire community. And today, as efforts across the country try to erase that history, this city is choosing to recognize it, invest in it, and ensure its future. The nearly $200,000 from Ann Arbor's bicentennial funds is more than a financial contribution. It's a declaration that our history will not be rewritten, buried, or ignored. These funds weren't just raised in February, they were raised all year because Black history isn't a once-a-year acknowledgement. It's the bonds of kinship that have held this community together through generations, and the resilience of those who...
Further discussion on the consent agenda? All in favor? All opposed? Consent agenda is approved with 10 council members present, all voting in the affirmative, thus satisfying the 8-vote requirement with respect to CA6. We now come to a public hearing. Public hearings are opportunities for members of the public to speak to council and the community about the specific subject matter of the public hearing. To speak at a public hearing, one need not have signed up in advance, but your speech must relate to the subject matter of the public hearing. That is to say, the specific item on the agenda to which the public hearing relates. Speakers in all instances will have 3 minutes in which to speak, so please pay close attention to the time. Our clerk or the time clock will notify you when 30 seconds are remaining and when your time has expired. When your time has expired, please conclude your remarks and cede the floor. Our first public hearing today is public hearing number 1, an ordinance to amend section 1324.5 of chapter 14, purchasing, contracting, and selling procedure of title I of the code of the city of Ann Arbor. Is there anyone in-house who would like to speak at this public hearing? Is there anyone online who would like to speak at this public hearing?
Mayor, I don't have any callers online with their hands up.
Seeing no one, this public hearing is closed. We have before us the regular meeting minutes of January 21, 2025. May I have a motion, please, to approve these minutes? Moved by Councilmember Watson, seconded by Councilmember Medina. Discussion of the minutes. All in favor? Opposed? The minutes are approved. B1, an ordinance to amend section 1324.5 of chapter 14, purchasing, contracting, and selling procedure of title I of the code of the city of Ann Arbor. Moved by Councilmember Iyer, seconded by Councilmember Medina. Discussion, please, of B1. Councilmember somebody, or perhaps not. Further discussion of B1. All in favor? All opposed? It is approved. C1, an ordinance to amend Chapter 55 zoning, rezoning of 0.6 acres from R1C Single Family Dwelling District to PL Public Land District Park at Dexter Road and Seibold Drive, rezoning 2570, 2576, and 2582 Dexter Road. Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Ghazi Edwin. Discussion, please, of C1. Councilmember Dish.
I mean, if anything needs to be said, these 3 vacant lots will restore a basketball court to an Ann Arbor Housing Commission property, where due to a renovation a little while ago and the installation of a playground for little people, the playground for tall people was taken away. I guess you don't have to be tall to be on a municipal basketball court, but in any way. So it is wonderful that this land has been acquired. It is acquired through different funding sources, but in part through the Greenbelt funds, and it'll be great to have everybody playing at this facility.
Further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? It is approved. C2, an ordinance to amend Section 1195, Public Market Advisory Commission of Chapter 8, Organization of Boards and Commissions of Title I, Administration of the Ann Arbor City Code. Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Radina. Discussion, please, of C2. All in favor? All opposed? It is approved. DC1, resolution to direct the city attorney to provide a public legal memorandum regarding the City of Ann Arbor's intervention in DTE Electric Company and DTE Gas Company proceedings before the Michigan Public Service Commission since 2022. Moved by Councilmember Briggs, second by Councilmember Ackman. Discussion, please, of DC1. I'm delighted to participate in bringing this forward. Of course, the City of Ann Arbor does all sorts of different things for its residents, particularly in the energy space. Our 820 program is perhaps first and foremost, as people too know. We do a lot of work in connection with our growing work behind a sustainable energy utility and other areas. However, what folks tend not to appreciate is the great and good work done by our city attorney's office before the Michigan Public Service Commission in DTE and public utility rate cases. As folks know, the two public utility companies, DTE Gas, DTE Electric, are regulated utilities, thus subject to the supervision and regulation of the Michigan Public Service Commission. And in rate cases, members of the public and others can participate and work to affect the terms of that regulation. The City of Ann Arbor, OSI, City Attorney's Office, have done a great deal of innovative work and a great deal of work that has been to the benefit of Ann Arbor residents and residents throughout the entirety of the service areas. And I think it's right and proper that folks have a greater understanding of that. We've had the benefit of legal analysis telling us what's been going on, but I think it is important and crucial that other people know and understand as well. And so we're asking here today the City Attorney's Office to put together a memorandum which would explain a little bit more of what it is doing, what it has been doing, and the success that it's had, and the effects that success has been experienced by residents. Further discussion. Councilmember Malik.
I just also want to underscore the importance of both the city's involvement in these proceedings, but also of making the results public. So typically entities intervening in these cases are large corporations and businesses or interest groups of some kind advocating for their own interests. There are virtually never individuals advocating on behalf of themselves in these cases. And rarely are there municipalities standing up for their own citizens' interests in these cases. But however, that's exactly what our city's attorney's office has done here, and I'm excited to learn further about the results this unique intervention has achieved. Thanks.
Further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? It is approved. Do we have the pleasure of a closed session today?
No, thank you, Mayor.
We have before us the clerk's report of communications, petitions, and referrals. Can I have a motion, please, to approve the clerk's report? Moved by Councilmember Radina, second by Councilmember Dish. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? The clerk's report is approved. We have communications today from our city attorney.
I look forward to writing the memo, but that's it. Thank you.
Well, we look forward to receiving it. In the absence of public comment overflow, may I have a motion to adjourn? Please, moved by Councilmember Ackman, second by Councilmember Iard. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? We're adjourned.